Thanks, everyone. Welcome to the launch of EdTech Society. On behalf of Executive Committee members, we would like to welcome you all to the launch of this EdTech Society. And we as a professional association, and you will find more opportunities to grow as a leader. One of the values this EdTech society. So I just want to share one story, and then I think I will hand over to Sridhar Iyer to welcome our chief guest. There was an amateur athlete. His name was Glenn Cunningham. When he was 8 in a school fire, he's got crippled. And the doctor said, there is no way that he is going to walk again. But against all the odds, he used to we will have challenges. Sometimes there are like the pandemic or different things might come. So, but I just want to encourage all of us come together. Even against the odds, and we will make this organization as a wonderful organization in the coming years. So once again, thank you all for joining this event this morning. I welcome you all. Thank you. Sridhar.
Okay. Thank you, Bridget. That's where all the regular info about Kinshuk is available. So he is the Dean of the College of Information at the University of North Texas. Before that, he was a research chair in adaptivity and personalization funded by the government of Alberta, and also full professor in computing and information systems and associate dean at Athabasca. He's done a lot of work in this area. I mean, there's no area in education technology that Kinshuk has not worked in. And he has founded the IEEE Technical Committee on Learning Technologies. He's the founding editor of the Education Technology and Society Journal and a lot of other things. So all this information you can find from his website. What you cannot find is the story that I'm about to tell you. So the story is about how by the way, to some of you may not know, he's also the founder of one of the founders of the T4E conference in India. Okay, so we were running ICC and T4E co-located in 2016. And at one of the times, Kinshuk said, hey, look, we need to create an organization. It's not enough for us to just have a conference. We need to have an organization through which we can interact with other international organizations like AECT and and so on and so forth. So in that meeting, Kannan and I and Sahana and maybe a couple of other people were there. We kind of nodded saying, we have to do this. We will get around to it eventually and so on. So Kinshuk in his characteristic way, kept gently prodding us. So having done all this earlier in other countries and, in other roles, so he knew the value of starting such a society and he kept gently prodding us. And so finally in 2019, we just decided that we will do this, and we announced that we have started the society. And then somehow through the lockdown, we did all the registration of the society and finished all the paperwork and so on. and we started it actually officially in 2022. So it was only fitting that Kinshuk would be the chief guest for this launch. And with that, over to you, Kinshuk, for your message. I'll stop
Thank you very
sharing my
much.
screen now.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sridhar, for such a nice introduction. So let me just get it straight. So the only reason the society was created to shut me up. Oh, no, but that's beside. If you can see it. Yes.
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So first of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm really honored to be here, special guest as chief guest. There are a lot of people who have much more, contribution to this. But let me start with the kind of beginnings of how I started work in this area and how I got involved. So, of course, educational technology itself, one can argue what educational technology is and how much you include in it, but in its current form, certainly goes back to early 70s and even beyond. If we talk about, advanced approaches of worked on a student model, and a lot of work people have done a lot of work in this area. But in our context, I think the formal structure that we have, the roots are in IEEE Learning Technology Task Force, which was the predecessor of Learning Technology Technical Committee. And I would like to give a shout out to Mr. Jim Schoening, who in fact started the task force. And then he is in US Defense. He then got me involved, and then we created the IEEE Learning Technology Technical Committee in, I think, 2001. Certainly in India, our efforts have been going on for a very long time, and premier institutions very long time. But I want to also give shout out to some of the key, pioneers. And again, I'm pretty sure there are many more, but the ones that I had really the privilege to get to know. Dr. Ramani Srinivasan, he, founder of NCST. In some way, he was the leading personality in bringing internet in connections at that particular point in India. Dr. Anup Ray, who has done a lot of work in educational technology pedagogy side of it. Dr. Sandhya Kode, who was founding director of NCDU, that has done a lot of work at IIIT Hyderabad. Of course, Dr. Kannan Modgalia, who is here, work on NPTEL, spoken tutorials, and so on. And Dr. Mangala Sundar Krishnan, who also has been involved in NPTEL and has been involved in many of these initiatives that have taken over the years. It was 2009 when we had the first international workshop on technology for education that brought together, a small community of people. But I just want to mention here that discussions, in fact, started when I met Dr. Ramani in Banff, Canada. We had a conference where he attended, I think it was in 2008, where we started to talk. I got to know him first time, and that let's do something, some formal, event in India that will bring people together. And I think he then brought many others in that, and certainly since then, more and more institutions have adopted educational technology effort. Again, keeping in mind that educational technology can encompass literally anything, but the current, what you could call advanced efforts in that area. And certainly, as Sridhar mentioned, incorporation of this EdTech society in India, means that will bring people together. Means it is very much needed. These efforts, they need to be systematically kind of encouraged and disseminated to wider society, really. So here is my kind of take on this, that I think the society will be really the key for grassroots research and also adoption of educational technologies. There is fantastic research happening in certain pockets, and a lot of effort that Sridhar, Sahana, you have done in terms of training of the teachers. But this needs to be scaled up, and that's where I think society would really help in improving the learning and learner experience. The focus should be both on skill development as well as innovation. And society can really play a very strong role on that, with impact on students, faculty. Also, having more and more entrepreneurship. I know that in India, there are a lot of EdTech companies, but that also need to be scaled up. Also in leadership and policy development in this area, that society can really play a strong role there. Also, exchange of ideas means we already had T4E conference going on. We brought, ICCE was there a few years ago, but I think there is a much more need for workshops, conferences, and probably publications also. Thinking of some flagship journal that connects Indian research and practitioner community to international community through dialogue. Innovative research projects, technology transfer from academia to commercial sector, skill development, things that are already happening, but maybe scaling them up. Thinking also about content repository development. NPTEL is perfect example of how society can play further role in that. That may be something to think about. Community building efforts through memberships, bringing people together, having some sort of interaction platform. Of course, social media, the term social media in a more positive way, if we can provide opportunities to people to interact with each other. Talent, expertise recognition through awards, people who have done really strong work in this area. How do we provide exposure so that others are motivated through them, looking at them as role models, and looking at them in the way that, yes, I can also be like that, rather than thinking that, oh, they are the elite and nothing to do with me. That's really how do we change that that perception. Also, quality assurance. Also what we should do, but a lot of people had bad experience because we had to move very fast, even when researchers had been telling for a long time that it's we need to get educational technology implementations, but for some reason COVID speeded up the process, but not everywhere in right way. So how do we make sure that there is quality assurance there?
Thank you very much, Kinshuk. And if anybody has any question, one or two questions, we can just quickly take that. Maybe I'll ask people to post them in the chat. So maybe I'll start with one question. So Kinshuk, you have listed a long list of activities that the EdTech Society should take up. What would you say that we should prioritize right away?
I think dissemination of information is key. Get people involved, and dissemination also comes with interaction. So getting people involved is, I think, for me, the key. More and more awareness of educational technology, the right form of educational technology. So we really need to be, looking at that, how we, premier institutions have already been involved in this for a long time. But how do we make it a mass movement? And I think that's society, one very strong purpose of the society is to try to do that. So having certain types of memberships that reflect people's involvement, people who have done strong work already and have something to contribute, having them exposed to those who are interested in it, so that they can learn from it, is, I think, and having breaking the barriers between people who are seen as elite. That's really what I would say here. So thank you.
Okay, there's a question on the chat. Sarah, why don't you unmute and ask the question since you're a panelist?
Thanks. Thanks. So, Kinshuk, what would international organizations such as AECT like to see from an EdTech society from India? What would they like to see coming out of India? Is it interaction, studies, something else? Can you just share some thoughts on this?
Certainly. So, I mean, when we say international organizations, in some sense, they are also national organizations. And AECT, as much as it is trying, very much international efforts, it is primarily centered in United States. And there is a very strong desire to collaborate and to learn and to, exchange the information between their members with countries, with other countries. And that's where AECT is a good example. EPSI is another one, where they would like to see that there are joint events, for example, researchers from both sides having projects together, interaction between, because these societies, especially those that have been established for a long time, they have their own small committees or task forces and so on, that those on different topics working together. That's the kind of thing typically these societies look at. So again, creating agreements is a piece of paper. It doesn't really miss you can do that and looks good on the website, but it doesn't really serve any real purpose unless there is a real interaction between the society, between the members of the societies. So that's really the easiest start of that could be joint events, between the societies, and that will lead to members talking to each other. I think that's the best way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there's one point by Kannan. Kannan, you want to say that, and then we'll hand it back to Briju.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Kinshuk, for the nice introduction. Really always a pleasure to listen to you. My comment is that one of the objectives of any activity like this should also have an objective, large, I don't know whether to call it okay, let me make it, it's easier the way to reproduce whatever I have written here. We should also have an objective to raise the levels of education in India. Very simple thing. So one of the things that we want to do sometimes is we want to come up with an idea, validate it, publish it, but we should also roll it out. And there are sometimes people start from research point of view, saying that we validated and so on. There are some other problems that may come from actual rollout, because sometimes rollouts don't wait for theory, because there is a pressing problem. You want to get on with it. So we need to, we should not lose sight of that rollout. We should not lose sight of the fact that our education levels are pretty bad in India, that we must not lose sight of it. That is one thing. The other thing that I would also want to remember is what is whatever method we choose to train somebody, what is the cost per person? We should always keep that in mind for a country like India. Okay? Because just to give a device to everybody, there are 300 million students, and giving device is a problem. Smartphone, even if it is available at 5,000 rupees, has a very small form factor. So you cannot do the kind of things. You need at least a tablet or maybe a low-cost laptop. I'm just giving an example. So given that situation, that we have a large problem at hand, let's not lose sight of that. That's the only comment I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kannan. Over to you, Biju, for the rest of the program.
Okay, I think Ram, it's going to lead the presentation.
So before that,
yes, Samir.
I would
Samir.
I would like to call Samir to make a presentation about the logo of our society. Yeah.
A very small visual representation of the kind of points we discussed for some time now. So I think you would have some comments over it after you see it. And this is a joint work with my intern Asavari, who is also attending the program. So the genesis was like the sentence says, the catchline that we have adopted is about bringing education, technology, and community together. So when we started the designing part, we took this square as, suppose, representing the education. And when we wanted to kind of add the layer of technology to it, we just copied it, made a similar thing, but because we have to show it as a different layer, we tried to actually rotate it and see if it can fit on each other. But we wanted not as two separate entities. So we wanted a nice overlap of education and technology to happen. Because we have seen in the past this gap is too much, and that's why it doesn't fly properly. So in order to make it nice and easy to work, we actually wanted to overlap these two. And in fact, when we want to overlap, we have to change the color. Only then we can actually see that. We just tried to change the color of that and see that hypothetically now, once we overlap this, how will it look like? And the result was looking quite good, because when we overlap this, we had actually color combinations, and also the axis had also created a nice shape for us. And the logo had the baseline having the community part of it. And that's where we actually thought of using these 8 points that are coming out to represent the community. And that's why we just created small 8 circles around it. And as you can see now, you have an orange square and you have a yellow square, and the overlap is a different color of yellow and orange. So it's a mix of that. So once we overlap these two, this is how we get into. And this has also some connections about, because we wanted it to have spread across various things. So typically we came out with 8 directions, so it can actually spread out in all directions. You can also see the unique feature of that is that each dot is connected to multiple dots. It's just actually one-on-one connection. So because of the lines drawn and the axis kind of connecting each other, we can actually see that everyone is actually connected on this grid now. So that was another idea, that we will have a grid. So the society will work as a unit and in all 8 directions with a perfect overlap of the education and technology as we want it. And therefore, we decided that there will not be a change in size of things because we wanted to keep the balance nice. And finally, we just added the textual content to it, and the logo was formed as EdTech Society. So we just thought of sharing this genesis with all of you. So I hope you like it. And yeah, any other comments about the visual representation of this? We would love to hear about it. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Samir.
I have one comment. It's a nice logo, Samir. I just
Yes.
want to narrate one experience I had when I was a graduate student in the year 1980.
Okay.
It was early 80s. I was giving a talk to the research to the faculty members and students at Rice University where I was doing my PhD. And then for some reason in the slides, I had put stars, okay? And, so here you put a square and then rotated square and you put. There what I had was, it's a standard triangle, right? Triangle and another triangle, inverted triangle.
Yeah.
So you
6
have
points.
6 corners, right? 6 corners, I made this, for some reason I had put lots of those in the bottom, right? Different patterns I chose and put. At the end of my end of the presentation, one of the profs asked me, so are you friends with Israel or something? It never occurred to me, right?
Yes.
Because this symbol is something that we had used all the time in
Yes.
India, for example.
Yes.
But it was interesting. So when I saw this square, it reminded me of that. But it's nice, this color, the thought process, and so on.
Yes.
In fact, the spoken tutorial logo, when we created, we asked a visiting French artist to create it, and she created. It was supposed to be open and connected.
Okay.
Spoken tutorial logo, it's
Correct.
open and connected. The reason is we were actually talking about open source software. That's
Correct.
why we told her. And so it's interesting that you talk about connected. That,
Correct. Correct.
each
Lines.
node is connected to various places. Nice thought process. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Samir. So we will quickly talk about EdTech Society. Then we'll talk about how to be part of this society. So we'll talk about who we are and who are the committee members to start at the society, and what we do, and which we will talk about membership and upcoming events, how to be part of it. So EdTech Society is a professional started in India. We started the individuals from ET department, IIT Bombay, the alumni who are committed to improve instruction learning. We thought together, wanted to create a society. But the EdTech Society members are researchers, developers, and practitioners in the field of EdTech education technology. So the executive committee members are President Professor Sridhar Iyer, Vice President Professor Sarana Murthy, General Secretary Dr. Pransh Mehta, and Treasurer myself Ramkumar. And executive committee members include Dr. Kapil Katam, Dr. JK, and Dr. Yudhendra Pal, and Dr. Samir Sarvate. Now we have executive director Viju is leading this effort in EdTech. Organizing, launching events, organizing the next few events, which will be the executive director who's managing EdTech Society overall. So what we do, we want to provide a public forum where we would like to link research and best practices in EdTech, so that there's a community coming together, so that we can interact, we can provide some skill sessions to improve the instruction and learning within India, also in international. The main focus now is within India. Also, we like to do it later by making more publications, more joint Professor Kinshuk mentioned, we can join collaborative events, we can do that. So the mission is to provide leadership within India and internationally by promoting research, best practices, and employing the use of educational technologies for effective instruction and learning. So I request Briju to quickly talk about goals and also what is our upcoming events and how to, if you want to be part of, how to join EdTech.
Great. Thank you, Ram. And so the core purpose, it's you can see in all these goals. And as Samir was explaining, the bringing together, the education technology and community kind of a society. And so as you can see in all these goals, one way or other, you do see the reflection up here. So the first goal that we already discussed. Then the second thing is so engage the professional. I think Dr. Kinshuk and Dr. Kannan, all of them are, saying the importance of a forum or a society. So we do really hope to this society will help the professional to engage. And the third goal is the research and best practices. I remember when I was doing a research in Kerala, there was one teacher, brought his cell phone and he's playing in the classroom the poem. In the poem, the students has to recite. And some reason the teacher was not that well enough to, sing that poem in a rhythm, and but he was able to, connect, putting that his small phone in the classroom. So I think there are a lot of research and the best practices it's going on in the schools in India. So we are hoping, so this organization will help them to, connect and bring those best practices. I think I was really glad to hear what Sridhar asked the question to Kinshuk. What is the most important? That is the dissemination of information. So we are hoping, as a society, we will be able to do that dissemination part, the communication. So we will try our level best. Then the fourth goal is to enhance international awareness of research conducted by research in India. So especially with the, in the AECT, I've been involved several years. So every year when I go to the annual convention in AECT, there is no representation from India. And, they do have the, Chinese Technology Education, Korean Technology Education Association, then Japanese. All these countries are coming, but there was no representation in the international forum. So the last goal is to have that kind of an international awareness of research conducted by researchers in India. So that's the 4 goals that we have set forth. And so, yes, Ram, you can move to the next. So these are some of the upcoming events that are coming. And so we will be doing some sessions, workshops. Basically, we will be focusing on three categories, like the students for the seminars, then faculty for the faculty development program, then institutions and the industries, like in December, the EdTech conclave, it's still in the planning stage, but in the December, we will have a EdTech conclave by the Educational Technology Department, by the IIT Bombay and the EdTech Society. So these are some of the upcoming events coming with the EdTech Society. And Ram, can you go? Okay. So membership, many people were asking, okay, what is the membership fee and, how much? So as a committee, we decided it's first to hear from the members, the prospective members itself. So we have created a membership interest form. So please do fill up. And if you go to etsociety.org/membership, and so there is a membership interest form. It's like, for example, what are the professional development workshops that you would like to see? and what are the way that we can serve as an organization for your need. So we just want to collect that data first. So in a month or two, we will have the membership drive, and so in that time, sort of, you can join as a member of this organization. So I think that's it from the about the organization in a brief way that we want to share with you. And
Since you're showing the website, maybe you can just talk a little bit about the website also, maybe show the website itself.
yes. Um, Great. So it's very simple, and so as you can see, this is the home page, and so we have the About Us page. In that page, that whatever the goals and who we are, the missions, and all those things we have described there, and the committee tab, you can see the executive committee members and their bios and their interest. And so then the membership page, that's kind of the most important one. So that's where you can find the membership interest form. Or you can also click the Join EdTech Society at the top. There also you can find that same membership interest form. So please, those who are attending here, please do fill that form. So we will be in touch with you shortly about the fees and other membership types of membership and all other details. So that's it now. So but um, there are other things will be coming in the future as an EdTech society. So we do really want to hear your feedback, and how to how we can serve you as a society, as a community, as a family. So yes.
Okay, thanks, Buju. So I request Professor Sahanamurthy to a word of thanks.
Okay, thanks. So I have this really pleasurable task of acknowledging, the various people who've been supportive and who've helped to get this society going. So I actually would like to start with Professor Kinshuk, not just for his talk today, which was actually very informative, and it was, it illuminated the whole history of how the EdTech work in EdTech began and how it progressed over the years, both formal and also a lot of informal, not just informal, but a lot of organic ways of getting the work going. So that was really informative, but also for a lot of things that Sridhar mentioned in the beginning, that to get the whole society going, the push and the reminders, the ways of doing it, and so on. So thanks very much, Kinshuk, and you are a member of our family, of the IITB family. Now you're also a member of the EdTech Society. So thanks very much for your continued support over the years, and we hope to continue this this relationship over the next several years. With respect to getting the society going itself, so let's start with the logo, going in the order in which the presentations were made. So thanks very much to Asavari Deshpande for her support. And these thanks are actually from all the executive committee members. So that's why, we are actually, as a team, we would like to acknowledge everybody else who has contributed to it. So this was a really nice logo, and Samir, that was a nice presentation also, explaining how the whole thing about and what things mean. It also has a slight Indian feel to it, which is nice. It's very, it's also very commonly understood. So that was a very nice thing that we saw. Website design, thanks to Spruha Satavlekar and Gurudev Thakre, who are research scholars in the EdTech department at IIT Bombay. Gurudev is an MTech student, Spruha is a PhD research scholar. So thanks for your help in designing and getting that going. Now, I said a few minutes ago that this vote of thanks is actually on behalf of all the executive committee members, but I have to particularly acknowledge the work of Ramkumar Rajendran, who's been really working very hard behind the scenes for the past, I think, 2.5, maybe close to 3 years. There's a lot of light work. He's been commuting to various government offices, doing the paperwork, getting on and sign, and this relentless work with a lot of good cheer. If some of us forget to sign, he doesn't fail to to remind us. So thanks, Ram. It's very nice to see this actually happening after so many years. And thank you to the IIT Bombay Institute and the EdTech department overall for support in setting up the society and so on. And finally, to the audience, to all of you who are here, it's really nice to see so many students out there and also some IIT Bombay EdTech alums. It's really nice to see you. But I'd particularly like to thank the teachers and the participants in the MOOCs and the MOOC TAs, the DFMs who are here today for this launch. So it's very nice to see all of you, and hope you all become members of the EdTech Society and give us feedback on how the society can actually contribute to this larger group of people who've been actually doing a lot of contributions, maybe a little quietly over the past few years, but hopefully the society will help bring more visibility to all of you. So with that, again, thanks very much. It was a nice short evening. Back to you, Brichu.
Great. Thank you, Sahana. And I think that's the end of the program.